Yes, it is Marvel Contest of Champions news time. It's the 29th of May 2018. Hopefully you had a lovely weekend. And obviously in the UK, bank holiday weekend. In America, I think it was Memorial Day. Whatever national holiday you're experiencing or having at the moment. I can't remember if it's time frame for Ramadan coming up or is in process. So whatever is going on, hopefully you're kind of like staying strong, staying positive and having a lovely time. In any case, let's cover some of these Marvel Contest of Champions news stories because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of stuff that's frustrating players. There's a lot of stuff that players aren't particularly happy about. You know, there's loads of things to talk about. There's some happy things and joyful things. Yeah, so I have mixed kind of like things here, but let's dive into these news stories. Our lead story is all about the Iron Man Infinity War version. Now, at the start of the month, it was incredibly frustrating with that particular champion with regards to his last kind of 15% of health and the way he kind of interacts with things with like auto block and other stuff that makes him incredibly frustrating. People have now used that champion and putting him on certain nodes in Alliance Wars, which are causing a great amount of frustration. Now that people have him in abundance, people are using him obviously in great amounts. Now, I must admit, I did fought off against an Iron Man Infinity War just a moment ago in Alliance Wars. I should have recorded it, but I didn't think it was very decent footage at all. Based on the fact that my playing strategy for this was, as soon as I got him down to about that 15%, then was like doing a little kind of like the odd hit, but then kind of getting to about 12% and then finishing them off with an L3 from my Captain Marvel. And I found that concept worked. I'm actually going to prepare a video about kind of counter tactics for that last 15% and kind of maybe the champion in general. But I think that's how you have to play it. As long as you evade out specials, that's one thing. The next thing is then if you're getting hit by stuff, then a champion that has Absorb, Ultron, as well, you know, you could utilize, like I said, Captain Marvel, and you've got then class advantage with that particular champion. Again, like there's so many different options I'm going to look into for this, but the main thing to really say is that yes, players are frustrated for the usage of that champion. Yes, okay, a 5-star champion is going to be a lot more powerful, and yeah, that auto block and the way it kind of works with auto parries and stuff like that is causing a lot of frustration with players. Next up, the results are in with regards to the cutoffs for Arena, and there's no surprise. I think with the inevitable hype that came with a 5-star, we're putting up to a 55 million cutoff point for the new Iron Man, which I think is just driven by the defensive aspects that make him so favourable for Alliance Wars placements. So yeah, not surprised with that. Then following up with the 4-star, going for a little bit more than what I thought, going up 14.4, which again is like, we're going up a little bit higher, which is a little bit frustrating. It would be nice to see those cutoffs for the 4-star kind of go back down lower again, especially because we don't want to get back into that old territory of the 20 mil days, because it's just not fair. The next thing is then the 4-star Thor going for just over 2 million. So if you put in 2.2, which was I think what I said, hopefully fingers crossed for that, then you would have got him. But that's good. 2 million is still good for that one. The 3-star version of the Iron Man going for just over $1 mil, and that's again quite good that we're not kind of putting up any further. So 1 mil, 62,000. So that's again good enough. Hopefully players that grinded up from got him. And then the thoughts going through to the midweek. What do I think prediction wise? I think we're going to look similar for the Iron Man. It may do one or two things. We may have similar score, say about a 50 mil kind of cutoff, or are people going to do that Proxima Midnight scare tactic thing where it drops down ridiculously to 16 mil? Those are one of the two ways it could go. It is very hard to say. I think it may be going close to that 50 mil kind of point. When it comes to the 4-star version of that one, I think again we're going close to that one at about 14.2, like around about 14 million. I think actually just 14 million flat. I don't think it'll go any higher, and I don't think it'll go anything lower than that. And then the Thor is probably going to go for about 1.8 to 2 mil. And then the 3-star hopefully is going to then drop just about that 1 mil or a little bit below. But you never really know with these things. Either way, hopefully you got him if you grinded out for him. Commiserations if you didn't get him. Next up, it's all about vanquishing blows. Now, this is met with criticism based on the fact that the points kind of threshold for getting ranked rewards keeps on changing. Like sometimes it's 300k, sometimes it's 240k, and it's not just confusing players, but it's frustrating players because they want to aim for better stuff with regards to infinity dust grinding. And to give you a bit of perspective, recently I did the Tech Champions with a medium attack, which is I think it's like a couple days ago, and I put 348k in for that event. And as a result, got back the top 21 to 50%, which was 43,500 infinity dust. And I'm changing up as I go with regards to grinding because I need to actually put more effort into this particular Vanquishing Blows event because I'm a little bit behind with the grind based on like dungeons. Dungeons just bore me, or we're in emergency maintenance. So yeah, that's where it's causing a real issue for me. And hopefully it's a case I can kind of grind out a lot more. But I hope it gives people perspective that I did a video on Vanquishing Blows. If you want to check it out, you can. But yeah, players are frustrated because they want to, you know, get that 240k. But then it's like for more competitive players that are willing to put in that extra amount. Some players can, some players can't. They don't have the time for it. It's yeah, a real juggling act with this month with regards to grind for players. So I really hope that kind of Kabam can address this. Is it 240k or is it 300k? Is it specific on one type of thing? Like, is it heavy attack? It's 240k, and on things like Cosmic Special 1 is a lot less. But you know, they just seem to not really have an idea with what they're doing. Currently, as I'm recording this video, we've got Cosmic Champions Special 1, and the cutoff points for getting the rank is 268k. So just like it just changes 268k, 240k, 300k. I don't know. Like, is it a case that's going to be different for specials, different for heavy attacks, different for light? Man, I don't know. I wish they would just clarify what they're doing and stick to it. Recently, and then moving on to our next story, there's been this post about buffing champions or kind of like altering them, making them more kind of balanced with regards to the way the game has changed, like damage output. And unfortunately, it looks like there's no kind of great plans in the interim to actually do anything with regards to improving, say, old champions or champions, which we would say are very bad champions. There doesn't seem to be a real scheme of things with regards to like what champions get the treatment with regards to improvement, and it's really hard to kind of pinpoint what Kabam are up to. Do they have the resources in order to mass improve a lot of champions in one big hit? Now, I think they gave into peer pressure with regards to the way that Sentry was handled, and as a result decided to buff him somewhat. So will they then take up other champions to do this? And the answer is not in the meantime. It may be down the line they're able to do that, but not at the moment. This is obviously met with frustration, at the same time jubilation if you're looking at certain champions that then are looking at cross purposes over kind of comic books and maybe source material. Then they're not really decent characters that were then put in. They're kind of more side characters that were good, average, and then brought into the game side of things, haven't really met up to anything in particular. However, that is not always the case. That's a bit of a bold statement, but if you look at certain characters like Carnage, who is meant to be a totally amazing badass and just a real villain, then, you know, there should have really been a more of an improvement with that. And from the ideas that we got from Comic-Con last year, the New York Comic-Con, that Carnage was meant to be introduced in a more hardcore light, and he was meant to be a lot more amazing. Now, obviously, Kabam don't get it right all the time, so it would be nice to see an improvements list or a list of champions that would be looked at. However, though, I think that's the thing of like focusing attention. They should really look to focus the attention on kind of the past. I mean, I would quite happily take a month off of things like intensive content, like having this month we've got the Mad Titans, we've got the Vanquishing Blows, we've got dungeons, we've got so many things going on this month that if we were going to have it, say, next month and go, hey, just have like, come on, just have an easy month. Fix a load of stuff with the game, get together and go, hey, you know, we've got to like look at these champions, that champions, and kind of buff them. I don't know, I think a lot of people would go, yeah, I'm for it. Anyway, what's your thoughts on champions being buffed? Let me know in the comment section below, or go to this forum post that's active. Next up, it's all about devices, and in particular Amazon devices. So if you've got a random device and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to play Marvel Contest of Champions on this, sometimes it's not going to work out. Kabam Sophia confirms that they're just committed to the iOS and Android version. I do agree. I think that, you know, they need to stick to 2 types of versions, especially when it comes to the fact that if they're running on multiple platforms, sometimes it's either not going to work. They may waste a lot of time on it. And, you know, I don't know how focused they are on the iOS and Android stuff at the moment, but it's getting that stuff right. Well, like I said in the previous article, we need to take a month off just to kind of go, right, focus on this, make sure this is right. We need to make sure we don't have any issues going forward. Next up is the crystal opening whale. People have asked me to kind of like react to this or kind of like look at this or kind of talk about this. And I think it comes with 2 different camps on the subject. The camp of people in number 1 will be like, wow, this is really cool, it's a complete spectacle. And the other one will be like, why did you decide to spend that amount on the game? To some people, the amount being spent is close to like a year's wage for the average person, or, you know, it's just crazy. Looking at the video, watching the video, I can imagine this particular gentleman is wealthy, which again is fine. You can spend the money how you like, and it's just seeing the kind of stuff that he pulls from it. Yeah, you've got to see it for yourself. Like I said, the link is in the description for this particular video. Although I do have my own theory that this guy is actually Brian Grant with a wig on and his glasses to the side, like he's wearing contacts. So I think that it's Brian Grant because he gives this idea that he doesn't spend on the game. So this is where all the money's going that he's making. Like it's going on this channel, this new channel with like a hairpiece and like contact lenses. I don't know. I got my theory on that one. But anyway, what are your thoughts on this? You're like, this is a crazy amount to spend on the game. Or you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. It's nice to see more of it. Either way, support the guy, go over to his channel, and also, you know, just like rant off and give your opinion in the comment section. And our final story is the theory of why there's so many issues this month, the month of May, in Marvel Contest of Champions. So we've been seeing loads of lag problems, dropouts. It's just been incredibly bad. I will be doing a more detailed video on this at a later date, probably on the last day of May, just to kind of then say, you know, Randolph, this month has been terrible. But it has been. It's not been good at all. There has been times where I felt that on the previous month, with regards to like the way the game has been operating, it's operated better. But with regards to the lag aspect, I think there was a case that I was in dungeons and having Nightcrawler with like the evade saved my butt so many times based on the fact that I was having champions coming towards me, and I was just like, this is a mad lag spike, real bad lag spike. Sidebar over to this particular post on Reddit, and it gives a little bit more of an idea of what it could be, and that's the code word, could. And obviously this post has started with probably, as this is nothing concrete. There's not concrete evidence to say, right, this is definitely what's going on in the game, and a big finger is being pointed squarely at dungeons. And obviously we don't really know how the game operates. Are there separate servers for different aspects of the game? Is it a case that the way that Kabam HQ work is that they've got servers and things are attached to them? I don't know. I mean, sometimes with regards to like the times that the game goes down, it's very consistent with certain time blocks, which for me then points to something like a device is being plugged in and it's kind of kicking out its own DHCP server, or there's, you know, concrete packet loss based on one particular time code, to say just before 8 o'clock, it's like 10 to 8 or the same time of every evening of every day in the UK, obviously whatever time frame it is with you. But is that thing, we just don't know. But there's a good kind of solid evidence to say that it's regular, something's happening close to there, but what is it? Kabam will only know about this, and at the same time what they're willing to then tell us is another thing. We're getting told each time with regards to Kabam Mike putting a post saying, oh, the game is down, saying that there will be an update, they'll update us with more information. Where's the update? There's no update. I've reached out to Kabam, as I said in previous Marvel Contest Champions news, to say, hey, look, you know, what's going on? Can you shed any more light? And I haven't heard anything back. And this was a channel set up with regards to content contributors to then communicate with Kabam and them to communicate back. And that channel, just that communication channel, just feels kind of dead at the moment, and no response has been given. I can be hopeful and say we'll get a response But at the end of the day, every time that we get that post up saying we'll give you more information, we haven't received anything, and it is becoming very frustrating for the player base. But I will cover this in a later date in another video. But anyway, that's that. So that's been Marvel Contest of Champions news for the 29th of May 2018. If you want to go to the links to that Reddit post as well as any of the forum posts and stuff that we discussed today, you can do because links are in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more Marvel Contest of Champions based news as well as videos and all lovely stuff in between. I've been RichTheMan. Like, share, subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And I shall catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye for now.